Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go over kind of the steps that I use for load development and the steps that I use to kind of start my data for building a load. There's many ways that you can do it. I'm not saying mine's the best way, but it's the easiest way that I've found to do it. It's quick, it's simple. The first thing I do is I get a reloading book for the bullets that I'm going to use. A lot of the stuff I've been doing lately has been Sierras. I've been very happy with it. This has most of everything in it. The rest of the stuff is available on their website under resources and load data. So once I have my book, what I'll do is I'll go to the cartridge that I'm trying to make a load for. Let's take the 6.5 130 Tip Game King, for instance. I'm going to make a deer hunting load. I'll take the page out here, and as you can see, this is the 130 TGK. I always start at their called out length when I'm testing. I measure all my chambers on all my rifles. I have a modified case and I know what my chamber is, and I could start them 20 thou off the lands. But what I like to do is I like to start with their length and go through my testing at their length, because I can always fine tune it with seating depth. Some of these bullets like a different amount of jump, and without really getting in and testing a lot of these bullets and getting a really good grasp on the profile and kind of get an idea of how much jump it wants, it's just easier to use their overall length and then fine tune it once you get a load that shoots the best. So that being said, the next thing I do is I'll go through this list of powders and I'll make a note of every powder that I have, and I just use a notebook like this, and I kind of just start a new page and I'll go through and I'll write down all the powders I have. Or powders that I've had really good success with in the past and that is readily available. Any powders that I have that I'm running low on and are almost impossible to get, point in case IMR 4064. I haven't seen any on a shelf in like 5 years. I know there's guys that have it yet. I have some yet, but I'm tending to lead away from using IMR 4064 for a new load. I'll use it on things I already do. 3030 is the big one. That I've been using 4064 for. I don't load a whole lot of 3030. The powder I have will load 3030 probably for the rest of my lifetime, and that's all I'm using it for. Another thing that, you know, works really good, but I don't really include in my load data anymore is the reloader stuff. That stuff's hit and miss on what you're gonna get. You know, reloader 16 and 19 I think is a little bit more easily available, but 15 and 22 is kind of hard to get right now. So again, I like to start with powders I have, and then I go through the list on a new load and select the powders that are readily available at any of the stores or online that I normally shop at. So once I have my powders narrowed down, what I do is I look at the velocity and I follow it down and I look at the powder that I want to use and I figure out where my starting charge is compared to the max charge. So let's say I'm going to use H4350. So H4350 has a max load of 43.4. I don't know how good you guys can see that. 43.4 for the max load, and then it has that 2750. Now for a 130 TGK, I would be perfectly happy as long as it was somewhere in my rifle between 26 and 2800. I know it's a 200 foot per second swing, but for the deer hunting I'm going to use it for, that's fine. If I have to limit my range, a little bit, maybe 300-400 yards, that's fine with me, as long as accuracy is there. And I'm a big proponent of that. You can push them as fast as you want, but if you don't have the accuracy, there's no point. I'd rather have accurate than fast. So what I would do, the starting load suggestion for this is 41.9. I would start at the starting suggested load because that's 2650 feet per second. Then I would bump it up in 0.3 of a grain increments. So we'll start at 41.9, and then we'll go to 42.2, 42.5, 42.8, and so on and so forth, up to the 43.4 max load. If you're not very familiar with loading, I would make sure that you probably stop a half grain short of your max load with your initial testing and see what that kind of brings you. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll load 3 completed case cartridges of each of those load windows. So again, 41.9, 42.2, and so on and so forth. 0.3 of a grain at a time, and I'll load 3 of each. All we're trying to do is kind of get a baseline of where is the most accurate. And honestly, you don't really need a chronograph to do this. If you don't have a chronograph, you can't afford a chronograph, but you have the power to the bullets, press, all that, that's fine. You don't need to go out and splurge and buy a chronograph. We're fortunate enough, I have a chronograph here. So what I like to do is I like to just load these. I'll put them in my load block, and I'll go from lowest charge to highest charge. Once I have them all done, I'll sit there, go through, make sure everything's, I's are dotted and T's are crossed, make sure all my notes are correct, and then I'll start. And what I do on the notebook is I'll put the powder here, and I'll put all my charges on the left side. So as I shoot them, I can put the chronograph information, and if it was a good group or bad group. When you're doing this, you have to be really honest with yourself every time you pull the trigger. Was it a good squeeze? Was it a bad squeeze? If the group's bad, but you don't think it was a bad squeeze, then it's a bad group. If you know that you pulled a shot, you have to start that group over again. When I'm shooting these groups, usually, depending on the weather, I'll wait 5 minutes from the last shot of this group to the first shot of the next group. I think I have a couple pages here. I can show you exactly what I do for the data. Okay, so again, this is different cartridge, but it's the same thing. Again, I'll just start one of these every time I'm going to start working up a load. This is for a 22 ARC, 62 VT, and a bolt gun. Again, we start with the powder, and then the charge weights, and I put where on the target, what target. I use the Ruger precision targets, so they got 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 bullseyes on it, so I can write which bullseye it is. So I'll do the powder, the charge weight, then I do the velocity and the standard deviation. So once I go through my entire list, I'll bring the target back. I don't spend too much time looking through the scope trying to figure out how big the group is. I bring it back here and I lay it out on the deck of my boat, take the calipers, and I measure each group, and I write the group size, I write the powder and the charge weight that goes with that group size, and then I'll take my best group and I'll load up 15 rounds of that charge, and I still only shoot a 3-shot group, but I'll shoot 5 3-shot groups, and then I'll overlay them on top of each other to get a composite group. To me, that's a more realistic, real world way to do it. If you're plinking, you can do a 15-shot string or shoot the same target. But for me, for something that's for deer hunting, I said this to another guy, my first shot, I want that to 100% be exactly where I want to put it. The second shot, I hope is gonna go where it needs to go. And on the third shot, especially with a deer, Wisconsin deer hunting, if you've shot at it twice, that third shot is, you're just praying that it's gonna go where you need it to, because that deer's moving. Same thing with cow hunting. Thermal hunting, that first shot's an important one, and if you gotta shoot 2 more, you're just trying to make up for pulling the shot or something of that nature. The next 2 shots are gonna be accurate, but the first shot needs to be the most accurate. So that's why I do a 3-shot group, and then I'll compile them, overlay them on top of each other, and then get a 15-shot group size. What I look for group size wise is all contingent on the rifle. My 6.5, I've shot a lot of factory ammo through it, and it's a pretty good shooting 6.5. It's not a match burner by any means, but it's pretty decent. It shoots like the 140 ELDMs right at a 1/2 inch. It shoots the 147s at just under 1/2 inch. So I mean, it's a fairly good rifle. So I'm going to be looking for deer hunting wise. I'm going to be looking for 3/4 and better. The first group charge weight, or the first charge weight that gets me a group 3/4 or better, that's the one that I'm going to work on. Again, I'm going to load up 15. I'm going to make a composite group. Once I have that composite group, if it's really good, I will not mess with the bullet seating. If the composite group just doesn't seem like it's, with 15 shots is an inch or smaller, again, if all my 3-shot groups are 3/4 of an inch, but the composite is over an inch, I'll mess with the bullet seating. I'll go 10th thou on each side of the suggested overall length. The thing you got to keep in mind with that, you usually don't have a problem with it in the Creedmoor stuff, but I run into this with, say, some of the ARC stuff. If you're going to seat it deeper, you have to pay attention to your charge capacity in the case. If you are, say, 100% charge capacity, there are some ARC loads that are full. I mean, you about just take the case, dip it in the powder, and level it off, and put the bullet on. If you're going to seat it deeper than what you have tested, use a lot of caution. You can gain a lot of pressure seating it deeper, and it builds very quick. I've seen some loads that are very good at my starting seating depth, and I seat at 10, and it's about ready to blow primers out. I mean, it happens that quick, the pressure building up. So keep that in mind when you're messing with bullet seating on some of these rounds. So I'll go, like I said, I'll go through. If I feel like I need to mess with the bullet seating compared to theirs, I will look at my dimensions of my chamber, and if it's something that I'm really trying to make match accurate, I'll go through the whole gambit. I don't like jamming the lands. Even some of my more accurate match stuff, I still want to be able to unchamber that round and not have the fear of the bullet sticking in the rifling. So I tend to not suggest that. If you're bench rest shooting or something of that nature, jamming the lands is fine. But again, if you're bench rest shooting, you probably already have a load development program figured out, and you're not watching this video anyways. So again, I suggest 10 off the lands as a starting point, and then I'll go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then I'll jump to 100 and 120 off the lands. And that's kind of my bullet seating program. But again, I like to start at the book's recommended starting overall length. A lot of times it's pretty close. 10th out one way or another is about all I'm going to go. So yeah, again, this is my load development process. There's other ways to do it. There's a lot of videos on other ways to do it. I just feel like this is the quickest, easiest way for me. I find the powders I have, I look at the data, I get some data wrote down, and I get go ahead and shoot 3 shot groups, get velocity, get standard deviation if you have a chronograph. If not, just go off group size. The group size will tell you, you'll find the best group size and you'll go to shoot it, and if a 3 shot group is a 1/2 inch the first time, and the next time you shoot a 3 shot group and it's 2 inches, you know the standard deviation extreme spread is way off. Or you have another issue going on. But a lot of times that's what the issue is, that you happen to have 3 really good close shots and the next 3 are off. So then you got to keep working through and find your next best group. So yeah, again, this is the way I've been doing it. It's worked out very well for me. I can usually get a load completely figured out and done in an afternoon. If I go through all this and I don't have anything that shoots particularly well, that bullet goes on the shelf and I grab a different bullet. There's some bullets that aren't going to work in your rifle. That's just part of hand loading. Point case, these 62 VTs in a gas gun that we've been using for last year, 22 ARC, it will not shoot 62 VTs. We've put 4 or 5 days of work into 62 VTs. We've tried every powder, we've tried every seating depth, we've tried 6 different primers, we've tried different neck tensions, we've tried this, we've tried that. It just won't, it will not shoot them, no matter how hard we try. So, that being said, use caution, consult your book every time you're gonna start a loadout. Start on the bottom end of where you wanna go and work your way up so you can check your brass for pressure issues, hard bolt lift, things like that. And get to the bench, get reloading and get shooting, and you guys will see that this is a pretty easy process to go through, and hopefully it helps you guys next time you guys want to do a load. If you found any value in this, go ahead, like and subscribe. I got more videos coming, a couple more rifles that are here or on their way here that we're going to unbox, we're going to review, and we're going to build loads for a few different things. There's a few coyote loads, there's a few deer loads, and there's an elk load that's going to be coming. So, like I said, go ahead, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.